Hello everyone, this is eFlex and welcome back to another Producer's Approach video. This video will be looking at Eminence and Soulero's collab Invisible featuring Marie Anna. So if you haven't watched my videos in the past, I basically break down these videos into three separate sections. I have an intro backstory section, then an breakdown analysis section, and then lastly an outro section. So this song Invisible is probably my favorite house song from Soulero, and quite possibly even Eminence. This song is really good, captures a lot of nostalgic vibes for me, and I don't know what it is, maybe the orchestral elements of the song and just the kind of sheer dreamy like feeling you get from the song is what really solidifies the song as a more nostalgic kind of big hitting popular song on Monstercat. But this is definitely one of the more notable songs from Eminence and Soulero, definitely because the song has 1 million views. And you know, a lot of the Monstercat songs that hit over 1 million views within the time period of me watching it now, currently, usually those are the more notable songs. So these two working together, I did not expect a long time ago, but I did see Soulero work with artists like Hellberg, and so I did see kind of a house song coming out, but I didn't imagine their like Eminence and Soulero making a collab this good. So this is definitely one of my top songs, as I mentioned in my Aura video. This song is right up there with Aura in terms of releases from Soulero. This is probably my favorite house song from him, and Aura is probably my favorite electro song from him. So anyways, let's get into the song and we'll start this APA. Okay, so to start off this first 45 seconds, basically you hear an orchestral string instrument play, I want to say for about a good 20-25 seconds. And then you do hear the vocal chops from Soulero. So you do hear Soulero's style kind of right off the bat. And when you listen to collabs, especially between two artists, at least for me, I try and pinpoint what makes this song unique in terms of both of them working together, like pinpointing whose style is who. So like the vocal chops sounded very much like a Soulero kind of unique style. So that's something he would do in his song, and the orchestral might be something Eminence would do, or it could be something they both decided to do. But you could tell the vocal chops was very distinct to Soulero's style. So he's kind of making his imprint right off the bat, that his style is within the song. So within this first 45 to 47 seconds, you hear some percussion come in. Sounds more like acoustic percussion, things you'd hear in like movie trailers, I guess you'd say, kind of big, kind of orchestral, acoustic percussion playing. And it lasts for a good 47 seconds, that intro section, but I do like it just because it's setting the kind of epic dreaminess scene of what the song's going to be. And then it does transition here, and then you don't hear that percussion anymore, and you hear the more electronic sounds of like a synth or an arp playing. So let's continue. Okay, so it's really interesting in terms of structure because this is not like a traditional progressive house song. Even within the time period of 2015, um, house structures I know were starting to change within this time period, but even still, a lot of the more popular songs are in the more traditional structures. So you hear the hi hat playing, you hear the lead kind of pluck sound playing, you hear some pads playing the chord progression as well, and then you do hear some vocal chops thrown in here and there. But there is kind of a big VFX to transition to this section, and it's more of a kind of transitions from kind of of a orchestral introduction to more synthetic a little bit, with still some kind of big spacey dreamy like pads playing, and then now is going to transition into the vocals, and I do like that reverse reverb and the VFX to kind of build in a little bit of breath of air, and then the reverse vocal to really get into this section. And you do hear the bass sound, almost like a bass arp within the section. And to me, I know Soulero does use ARP sounds, but that does sound more like an Eminence sound to me. And that section sounded more like what Eminence would do with their songs. So, anyways, let's continue with the vocals and then the section.
You see me? Am I invisible again? Can't you feel me like that mysterious pain? Can't you hear me? Am I fading away? Scared to breathe me, runs the memory away. Can't you see me?
I do like within this section how the vocals play out. The vocals are playing along with the lead melody. That's a pluck sound. Even though they're both in higher frequencies, the plucks don't interfere with the vocals. And there's enough like effects, like VFX for the vocals and the sound to give it enough fullness. So there's not any empty space really. Then you do hear pads come in halfway through, but that section there pairs really nicely with that melody and that vocal both playing at the same time. And the melody sounds like a little bit of like an alternate melody to the vocals. So very interesting. I like that section there. And then this section is more of the transition section where you hear the ARP playing. And it's going to be more of the kind of build up section into the chorus. But overall, so far, the structure has been really nice and very, very epic and orchestral, almost like. So let's keep going.
Like that mysterious pain. Can't you hear me? Like that mysterious pain.
Okay, so what I do like within this build up section, even though it's a little bit traditional with the snare build up and with the effects, I do like how you hear the build up of the kind of bass arp sound. That's Eminence, kind of that's their kind of unique style from what I can tell. And then you do hear the vocal chops come in, which are very distinct to Solero. So it's kind of both of them introducing their own sounds and their own kind of unique touches within the section with the build. And the vocals do come in a little bit, but it's just kind of the touch and unique styles here that kind of combines this build up and makes it a little more interesting, kind of picking apart whose sound is more distinct to whose style. At least that's what I do. I don't know if anyone else does that, but I do that sometimes, especially when it's a collab, because that's how you can tell whether the collab was successful in terms of both artists contributing or just maybe one artist doing most of the like kind of taking over the project and then the second person is kind of just tagging along, which has happened to me in some of my collabs where I just kind of tag along instead of trying to imprint my own sound. Even though I do, it's just maybe for the benefit of the whole song, it's better to take out some of my sounds. So it's harder to tell what I contributed to the song. But anyways, that's kind of what I like to pick apart when listening to the song. But overall, there was a great section, and then there's a nice breath of air, and then it goes straight into this chorus section. So let's continue. Okay, so within this section, you hear the percussion playing a 4/4 rhythm, traditional to progressive house, and you hear the arp sound, and you hear the lead lead sound as well. You hear the arp on the bottom, and then this kind of exaggerated, kind of paddish lead sound, and then you do eventually hear halfway through the kind of this pluck melody sound. So this drop kind of reminds me more of an Eminence kind of style drop. Soulero kind of does that with his songs too, but this feels more of like an Eminence style drop. But when the pluck kind of comes in, that seems like something Soulero kind of would add. But the solo vocal chops definitely are present there. So there is a nice balance between both of their styles within this section of the drop and chorus. So it is a nice blend between the two styles within this drop. So, anyways, let's keep going. Okay, so to kind of fade out after that chorus section, you do have kind of the more standard traditional lead playing, nothing too much changed, and then you do hear kind of some filtering out to transition the chorus out into the break section. But then this section here, where you kind of have a vocal chop section, and you have the kind of the chords still playing and the pads still playing. This section reminds me a lot of like a section you'd hear in a Soulero song, just because of the different vocal chops within the section having a lot of different calm responses with each other. So I'd say the main chorus section is more of like an Eminence type drop from their music, and then this part of the song is more of like a Soulero kind of flair or style to the structure of the song. So, anyways, just wanted to point that out because that's something I personally view as kind of the distinct differences, at least to me, to kind of who contributed maybe to who, or who contributed to what section, or had a little bit more influence. So, anyways, let's continue. I like how in that section the percussions switch to more of acoustic percussion. Almost sounds like a loop, a percussion loop in a sense, but I would give them the benefit of the doubt. It probably isn't, but it sounds more like acoustic sounding percussion, which is a lot softer, which is a lot nicer actually within that section, kind of balancing out a lot of the different vocal chops of a lot of different calm response within each section. So overall, really nice section there to really kind of showcase the vocal chops of the vocals, and I think kind of showcase Solero's style kind of mixed with Eminence's style within that section. Kind of that's the best, I would say that's the best representation of the combination of their styles, with that kind of bass kind of sound on the bottom and then the vocal chops on the top. So anyways, now it switches into the kind of harpish pluck sound in this section, then the vocals will come back. So let's keep going.
Can't you hear me? Am I fading away? Scared to breathe me, runs the memory away. Can't you see me?
So this section of the song, I believe, is a little bit shorter because after the chorus, there was that kind of section to, it was like the in between break and the chorus section, but that kind of nice little, I almost want to call like a solo section just for a combination of their sounds. I'm not exactly sure what to call that section otherwise, but this section seems a little bit shorter. You do hear the pluckish sound, the harp pluckish sound playing along with the synth playing the chord progression on the bottom or pad. And then you do hear some vocal chops, and there's this much kind of a faster transition into the vocals playing, and then now it's a faster transition into the build up. So structure wise a little bit different, but it makes sense because of, you know, the varying different parts for, you know, that are not traditional to certain house songs. So overall sound wise pretty similar, but anyways, let's continue.
Like that mysterious pain. Can't you hear me? Like that mysterious pain.
Okay, so structure wise within the section is pretty similar to how it was in the prior build up before the drop. Sound design wise pretty similar, structure wise pretty similar. Trying to listen for other sounds that were different, but I want to back up a little bit to the beginning of this break section, kind of before the reverse vocal or the reverse reverb into the vocal. There was this alternate little melody went do do do. It was like a different synth completely, which I didn't hear actually within this section. I was trying to hear and see if that sound would come in again, but I guess it was a unique sound to that section. So I didn't point it out then, but I was trying to listen to see if I heard that sound again, and I didn't. So it's interesting how that one sound was only used for that one section, which worked out pretty well. But what I wanted to point out with this kind of breath of air after the buildup, there is the vocal chops leading into the drop. I can tell that's more of a Soulero kind of effect there. He would do something like that before his drops. But I noticed within the build-up, you hear this kind of VFX that goes do 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 do. It kind of like laserish kind of sound. That's a sound I feel like Eminence would use in their music to kind of build up their kind of transitions for their house music. So, anyways, pretty interesting to pinpoint certain sounds I think are similar to each artist. So let's continue. Okay, so that is Eminence Solero's song "Invisible" featuring Mariana. So I want to back up a little bit. So the first two parts of the second chorus are similar to the first chorus, but the last part of the chorus is probably my favorite part of the song. Is when the lead is introduced in that kind of lead sound that goes. "Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun." I like when that lead sound is introduced within that section, and then the vocals come back in. And this is the only time I think the vocals actually come back and are introduced within the chorus section within this whole song, because in the first chorus and the first part of the second chorus, the vocals don't come in for like the actual kind of vocal hooks within the actual drop sections or chorus sections. So it's pretty interesting how it works really well here, because the synth starts off a little bit louder and then gets a little bit quieter, the main lead synth, as the vocals come in, because the vocals become the priority once they're introduced into the chorus section they're playing. So very interesting how that section works out, but it's actually my favorite section because I do like that lead sound, and I do like when the vocals come in the chorus section. So I'm glad that they incorporated that in the last part of the second drop, because if it was pretty similar to how it was in the first chorus, it would be a little too similar and not enough variation, at least for me. But that last part of the second drop is kind of what makes this song for me in terms of the and having enough variation. But the structure overall is very unique to a progressive house song. As you heard towards the outro, it's not a traditional kind of kick snare outro. It fades out pretty well, actually, or transitions pretty well to the outro, and just the sounds kind of fading out and slowly just regressing until the song ends. So overall, the song "Invisible" is really good. um the structure in itself I do like. It's a little bit longer than some other progressive house songs, but to me it makes sense. It's not the same kind of wrote routine kind of minute intro, kind of break section, chorus, break section, build up, chorus, and then kick outro to end the song. It's very unique. It's a like a really long build up, and then um, has another kind of instrumental part with the vocal, and then builds up, and then has a chorus, and then has kind of a, I don't know, uh solo section, I guess, between the two artists and their sounds, and then it goes into the break section, then builds up, and then the um second chorus, and then just outros without a kick and snare, kind of traditional minute outro. So overall the structure is really nice, and the use of the sounds in the song is really nice, and the building of the atmosphere, that's really what gets me with the song, is just the kind of atmosphere building, just the scene it's setting is this really kind of dreamy, big house song. And they hit the nail right on the mark with that, because this is really one of those nostalgic, dreamy songs that if you're going to listen to, like, at least for me, if I listen to it, like, I just like feel like I'm transported to a different place listening to the song, to this really dreamy kind of cloud nine type place. So anyways, check out Eminence and Solero's music. Really good. Mari Anna, her vocals in the song are really good too. And overall, just a really nostalgic and great song. And you could pinpoint, at least for me, the uniqueness of each artist and what they contributed to this song. So I hope you guys like this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next A Producers Approach video. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.